There was a time when poverty wasn't just where I lived, it was how I thought. I knew what it felt like to check my bank account before buying groceries. I knew what it was like to choose between paying one bill or another. I knew the embarrassment of saying, maybe next time, because I simply couldn't afford it. I watched people drive the cars I dreamed about, travel to places I had only seen on television, and live lives that felt impossible from where I stood. For years, I believed poverty was my destiny, because it had been my reality for so long. Then one day, I realized something that completely changed my life. Poverty had taken my money, but I refused to let it take my mind. The moment I changed my thinking, my future slowly began changing too. It wasn't overnight. There was no winning lottery ticket or magical opportunity. There were simply thousands of small decisions that eventually became a completely different life. These are the 10 steps that helped me climb out of poverty and into possibility. Step 10. I stopped blaming everyone else. For years, I blamed my neighborhood, my upbringing, the economy, my job, and my circumstances. While many of those challenges were real, I realized blaming them wasn't improving my future. One morning, I looked in the mirror and said something that hurt to admit. I may not be responsible for where I started, but I am responsible for where I finish. That sentence became the turning point. Responsibility didn't make my problems disappear, but it gave me back the power to do something about them. Step 9. I changed my relationship with money. Before, every paycheck disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. I never told my money where to go, it simply vanished. So I created my first budget. It wasn't glamorous, there wasn't much money to manage, but for the first time, every dollar had a purpose. I stopped asking, can I afford this? And started asking, is this moving me toward the life I want? That simple shift transformed how I spent, saved, and thought about money. Step 8. I invested in knowledge before luxury. While other people spent money trying to look successful, I spent mine trying to become successful. Instead of buying expensive things to impress strangers, I bought books, online courses, and educational resources. Every chapter I read became another lesson someone else had already paid for with years of experience. I realized that the greatest investment wasn't in my wardrobe. It was in my mind. Step 7. I learned skills that increased my value. I stopped asking, how can I make more money? And started asking, how can I become more valuable? I learned new skills after work, during weekends, and whenever I had free time. Communication, sales, leadership, technology, problem solving. The more valuable I became, the more opportunities appeared. Income often follows value, and I finally understood that my earning potential could grow as I grew. Step 6. I stopped trying to look rich. This one was difficult. I realized I had been buying things I couldn't afford to impress people who weren't paying my bills. I traded temporary appearances for long-term freedom. I delayed gratification. I drove older cars, skipped unnecessary purchases, and focused on building stability instead of image. I discovered that wealthy people often look ordinary, while many people trying to look wealthy remain financially trapped. Step 5. I started saving before spending. Even when I earned very little, I made saving a habit. At first it was only a small amount. Some weeks it felt almost meaningless. But I wasn't just saving money, I was building discipline. Every dollar I saved reminded me that my future deserved a portion of today's paycheck. Small savings became larger savings, and larger savings eventually became opportunities. Step 4. I stopped letting fear make financial decisions. Fear had convinced me to stay in jobs that no longer challenged me. Fear made me hesitate before applying for better opportunities. Fear whispered that I wasn't qualified enough. Then I realized something. Poverty loved my fear, because fear kept me exactly where I was. So I applied for positions that intimidated me. I negotiated. I asked questions. I stepped outside my comfort zone. Every courageous decision expanded my world. Step 3. I built multiple streams of income. One paycheck had always determined whether I struggled or survived. I decided that wasn't enough anymore. I started side projects, learned ways to earn additional income, and explored opportunities beyond my primary job. It wasn't easy. There were late nights and early mornings. But eventually I understood that depending on one source of income while carrying big dreams was like trying to cross an ocean in a tiny boat. Diversifying my income gave me stability and confidence. Step 2, I changed my circle. I realized that the conversations around me often shaped my expectations. Some people constantly complained but never changed. Others talked about ideas, goals, business, investing, and growth. I intentionally spent more time around people who challenged me to think bigger. Their habits influenced mine. Their ambition became contagious. Their belief helped me imagine a future I had never allowed myself to picture. Step 1. I stopped seeing poverty as my identity. This became the foundation beneath everything else. For years, I introduced myself to the future using my past. I said things like, "People like me don't become successful. My family has always struggled. This is just how life is." Then, one day I refused to say those words again. Poverty was my circumstance, not my identity. If your faith is central to your life, this truth becomes even more meaningful. I came to believe that my value and purpose were never determined by the balance in my bank account. My financial condition described one season of my life, but it did not define who I was created to become. Once I believed that, my decisions began changing, and eventually my circumstances followed. Today, when I look back, I don't just see someone who escaped poverty. I see someone who escaped a limited mindset. Money gave me options, but discipline gave me freedom. Income changed my lifestyle, but wisdom changed my life. The greatest wealth I gained wasn't found in a bank account. It was found in confidence, knowledge, resilience, and the belief that tomorrow could be better than yesterday. Looking back, I realized poverty taught me lessons that comfort never could. It taught me gratitude for small victories. It taught me resilience when life became difficult. It taught me to value people over possessions and purpose over appearances. Most importantly, it taught me that success is rarely built by one extraordinary moment. It is built by ordinary decisions repeated with extraordinary consistency. If my story teaches you anything, let it be this. Your current financial situation is not a prophecy. It is a chapter. Chapters end. Seasons change. Doors open. Skills grow. Opportunities appear. The life you want begins the moment you stop believing your circumstances have the final word. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. One opportunity at a time. I climbed out of poverty. And in the process, I discovered that the greatest fortune I would ever build was the person I became along the journey. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the Digital Mentor 777 via YouTube.